Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Adi Achint. Today और आज का एक very important question मैं जनरल दुष्यंत सिंह से पूछने वाला हूँ जो हमको ज्वाइन जिन्होंने हमको ज्वाइन कराया आज सर. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल गुड इवनिंग एंड मेरा आपसे एक बड़ा जबरदस्त सवाल है. आई एम गोना आस्क यू अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन.
Good evening.
एवरीबॉडी थैंक यू सर. सर एवरीबॉडी टॉक्स अबाउट ब्रेकअप ऑफ पाकिस्तान. भाई टूट जाएगा. What is this breakup going to look like? Is it going to be the balkanized version where breakup, or is it going to be the Lebanese version where it still stays together but there is a complete breakup in Pakistan? So first of all, that is a question, and second of all, sir, once again, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Adi. Very interesting question, and I think we'll have the audience also pitching in today, so that
Absolutely, yes, sir.
they can also throw their viewpoints on this particular issue, because I still maintain that breakup of Pakistan is a very long shot, and it is only going to happen if certain ground conditions are going to change, right?
Yeah.
And that we have discussed in our past videos also. So let's see what is the response. In the meanwhile, we can have a little discussion on what is the current situation in Pakistan and how is it going to pan out in the near future. We will not hazard a guess of long futures, because uh, like I said, it's an analyst nightmare today what Pakistan is.
Indeed, sir. Uh, Pehla, sir, see everybody the okay. Let me just say this: the prevalent scenario that everybody talks about is, by Pakistan will break into 4-5 pieces. Gilgit Baltistan POK will come back to India. Punjab will, become an independent sort of a country where the actual Pakistan stays. Then Balochistan will become independent, and then Sindh will become independent or merge with India. And वो जो northwest frontier area and all that stuff goes to Afghanistan. So this is a breakup scenario which is very prevalent, sir. Now,
Yeah.
hypothetically speaking, sir, what is required for something like this to happen?
Okay. First of all, what are the options, or what are the contingencies which can take place as far as Pakistan's future is concerned, right? Uh, Broadly, we can say that there are three likelihoods for Pakistan in the future. One is that it breaks, right? Uh, Kind of a balkanized form of Pakistan. What happened to Yugoslavia is basically balkanization refers to what happened to Yugoslavia, and then it got split into a number of small pieces. And there is still some unrest in areas like Kosovo, etc., in that part of the region. So that is one issue. The second option could be that Pakistan does not really break up, right? But it has a kind of a governance structure where people from these important regions, which we just spoke about, Sindh, Balochistan, uh, Pastunistan, northwest frontier, I'm talking of Waziristan, etc., and those areas, and to a little extent, of course, the Pakistan occupied Kashmir and Gilgit Baltistan. I would not really discuss much, because that's totally on the periphery, and it is now under the influence of two nations, three nations, I would say: China,
Hmm.
India, and Pakistan. That particular part of the region, and all three have major interest in that area. So that is a separate dynamics which is going to play out as far as Gilgit Baltistan is concerned. So you have some kind of representation, a council or a committee or a high powered uh, group which kind of runs Pakistan. Okay, this is a Lebanized model, as we call it, where they also have a Christian Maronite president. A prime minister will be then from the Muslim community. Then there is a representative of Hezbollah also in the governance structure. So something like that, you might have a representative of TTP. Of course, people might say, if Afghan Taliban can run a government, why not have a representative of TTP in the governance structure of Pakistan?
That's a
Some
great
kind of
question.
a uh, religious minister of the that is the only way they can accommodate Taliban, Tariq-e-Taliban, because that is one of their demands, that we should be ruled by the Salafi way of Islam, which is purest form of Islam as far as they are concerned. So therefore, he could be some HRD minister uh, controlling the way Pakistan has to conduct its religious
Hmm.
activities and personal activities, govern its human resource. So that's the Lebanese model. And the third one, which is very interesting, is that it continues to, you know, go along in the current form, neither really stabilized nor really balkanized or Lebanized. So I would say, with the armies in some form or the other trying to take the country forward, or trying to weather out this rough weather
Hmm. Hmm.
of economic crisis, and then slowly regain the
Power, which
stability,
is easy. Hanji. Hmm.
which probably to me looks the most likely way forward as far as Pakistan is concerned. In each of these, the third one, which we talked about, balkanization, is the most dangerous as far as we are concerned, right? And therefore, although it's dangerous, less likely. But if it happens, how are we going to deal with it? So we should be prepared for a contingency like this as a hedging strategy for India's national security. I would put it in that perspective.
So three
So,
scenarios, sir.
yeah,
Interesting.
that's right. That's right.
Three scenarios you brought out.
Yeah,
Sir, the first, let's just take, I'll take 2 minutes extra on each one of these scenarios just to kind of dig a little bit and then tickle a little bit of the audience so that they can start participating. Although a lot of comments have come in already. Guys, please keep it up. Whatever you guys think that thoughts are there, kya hai, whatever is there in your mind, dalo.
yeah.
Let's have an open discussion. Let's see each point, and I'll request General Sir to kind of spend a short while commenting about your comments. So just let the comments go today. I'm going to
Absolutely.
take as many as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. That will be much more two-way process.
Hanji. So let's open. We'll open this out, but I'm going to just ask you for 2 minutes extra on these three scenarios. Sir. Number one, we spoke about the balkanization,
Yeah,
right, sir? Now, balkanization is basically literally just khatam. There is no entity called Pakistan left, right, sir?
absolutely.
The leave alone what happens to India and stuff like that. That is of course a dangerous scenario, and I'm sure a lot of the audience will also talk about it. But sir, balkanization also brings about an interesting question with regards to its capabilities. One, military capabilities. Two, whatever resources and this and that which is left. There's water, which is
Absolutely.
one of the biggest resources which is going to create trouble. So it's not that even if it balkanizes, it's not that the 4 or 5 places which will it will break will remain in peace. They will keep
Absolutely.
fighting with each other. How do you see that?
Absolutely. You see, like I said, balkanization is a very dangerous option, and that is the reason why most of the world communities, I mean, vary of this kind of eventuality, right? The reason being that two, three things. How will the military divide itself? One, how will the nuclear arsenals get divided? Two, will Punjab become the Russia of the USSR breakup, right? And then if that happens, what about the other smaller states, which will other smaller countries which will balkanize, out of this entity called Pakistan? And then how will the economy be steered by these smaller nations? The sharing of resources, what you refer to as water, etc., especially water, they are
Especially
all
water.
lower they are all lower riparian states. They all will be at the mercy of India. And the further they go away from India, I mean, I'm talking of the regions of Baluchistan and the other regions of the west, they will have a severe water crisis going for them.
Yeah.
How much of the Indus water will be shared by the other, by the Punjab, Pakistan, as you may call it, after balkanization. So it's
Hmm.
not a simple thing. It's not a simple thing, and that is why I said two, three ground conditions have to be met if balkanization is anywhere near the horizon, and that is that its military has to somehow become weakened and unable to control the or unable to hold the country together. That's one major condition. The second condition which is required is the people of the country who
Hmm.
feed on an anti-India narrative. If you look at number of YouTube videos which are coming out of Pakistan, you will realize that they keep talking. In fact, there are some people in the videos talking that even their current crisis has been created by India, and the reason being that it could not see Pakistan growing in leaps and bounds, and also its nuclear arsenals being more than India. I mean, these guys at that level, at a common man level, also have been fed this kind of a narrative that Pakistan has more weapons, more nuclear weapons, etc. So, and these are common people who are talking in Pakistan. So if you look at the YouTube videos coming from Pakistan, it appears that the anti-India narrative is much stronger binding factor than religion or ethnicity. So till the time these two conditions remain, I think they will bear all the economic difficulties and stick together as a country. Whether this government fails, whether the Pakistan army is forced to take over, that's a secondary issue. So that is why I said breakup to happen, these two conditions have to be met. The people have to start going on the streets with economics in mind, and the Pakistani army should somehow appear to be failing in keeping the country together. If these two conditions happen, then only you will have a balkanization somewhere very, very close to the horizon, which currently does not happen, currently does not seem to be happening. Okay, so this is the condition for the option one, which I would say for it to Lebanization. I feel we are somewhere in the middle. A situation like this may occur, may not occur. It could be due to the intervention of the US and the Chinese, etc., to create a security arrangement in Pakistan which ensures that their interests are met in Pakistan. Even if, let's say, China, Pakistan gives access to China, China has to its territory, etc. In return for the debts which is mounting as far as China is concerned. Today, the Chinese debt is around $31 billion.
Hmm.
What are you talking about paying back interest? They are not able to pay back interest. Also, they are all getting rolled over. China has given them $700 million. That's foreign exchange. What is $700 million? Half a week's import cover. That's all, nothing else. So if they trade territory like they ceded Shaksgam, is there a possibility that in return of wiping out these loans, etc., they will cede GB to China? What kind of a situation will be that for India, or for that matter for Afghanistan and the US? Will that be acceptable to India? So these are things which we have to keep debating these options. What is the way out for Pakistan to get out of this second situation? Like I said, Lebanization. And the third one is that economically it keeps rolling on, like it is neither stable nor unstable. It is somewhere in the no unstable stable paradigm. It is rumbling along. Okay,
Hmm.
so which appears to be the case, and in this case, the army remains as the security guarantor of the nation till they are okay. Although the statements which are coming from Asif Munir, I really don't appreciate it. He's asking for more money. He's asking for more funds, whereas he should be talking of reducing his budget, reducing the number of personnel who are on duties which can be very easily done away with, so that the burden on the state is that much less. Instead, he's asking for more money. I mean, 4.5% of the GDP you are eating away, and if you ask for more money, it will be even more. You see, their budget is hardly about 40 odd billion dollars, and in that, bulk of it is, if 4.5% is of the army, so how much does that become? They are still demanding weapons. They're still demanding aircrafts. You're not going to survive a nation like this if you continue to focus militarily. I think there's a need for uh, 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 heart searching for them also if they have to survive. Okay. For India, I feel the third situation is the best, where they keep rumbling along. It leaves us, a good space for us to economically develop and seize the opportunity whenever it comes our way. But in all this, the most dangerous is trading GB with China.
You've hinted upon a very interesting point, and I see some comments about it, so we'll obviously take that up, sir.
Yeah,
Ek,
it's a wild thought. I'm
yeah,
just
yeah, it's a
giving it.
wild thought, sir, and Pakistanis are crazy. They've done it before, so,
Yeah,
Right. Let's talk about a scenario where I mean, although you might disagree with me, sir, but I'm going to still put it out there. But I kind of have my thought processes towards, which is the Lebanization aspect, wherein I find that all these so-called subas of Pakistan
mm-hmm.
will not be, uh, separated, but they'll have their own governance structure, their own leader, their own this and that and the other. They'll be still knit together like Pakistan, but
Leader, their own this and that and the other. They'll be. Yeah.
but the entire game of what do you call governance will not be central anymore, sir. So you'll probably have four prime ministers. You know, you'll probably have your own individual this thing. They'll chug along. एक कोई central में बिठा देंगे किसी को. Army will be pretty strong, but because army will also need to make compromise with the local people, they'll say अच्छा ठीक है तुम ये कर लो शांति रखो, तुम ये कर लो शांति रखो. कहीं ना कहीं कुछ see, you can't be at war. They'll have to piece it out somewhere or the other. So my point is, they will just exist as four separate entities stuck together.
Yeah, I mean, there will be a common thread which will keep them bound
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
And I told you that which is the guarantor of those, that thread which will bind them together, which is the army and the people who are more radicalized from what they were earlier, and an anti-India narrative. See, the best way to unite Pakistan is if you create an anti-India narrative. That is the surest way of uniting Pakistan,
hmm.
at least temporarily, right?
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
kind of narrative building would continue, I think, in Pakistan through their various information warfare operation mechanisms, YouTube channels, etc., etc. Some demonstrations on ground also. But to say that they'll have four prime ministers, I think would straight away lead to four countries. So that is not Lebanization. My sense is that they would still have a prime minister, but they would have deputies. I'm
Yeah,
going
yeah,
into
I mean,
I'm
some
going
structure
into a
of, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I'm
agreed,
going
sir.
into micro management issue, but Lebanization is more of an accommodative process without losing the overall. They have president from A community, prime minister from B community, and possibly a home minister from a different community if they have one.
Yeah,
So
I'm kind
there
of
is
twisting it a little bit, yes, sir. Hmm.
yeah. So there would be a compromise government which will give you a look of a central government, but with a heavy federal bias, right? Each of these regions will be in of themselves kind of, I think, barring national security and diplomacy, international relations, rest
On their own.
every they'll be on their own, with finance being a dual kind of a dual charter, the
Hmm.
budgeting
Hmm.
would be a dual charter in which there would be certain shares fixed for these regions based on their. Also, there would be more of pro ratization of various jobs, etc. Like the army also may get pro ratized. The officers also may get pro ratized. For example, if you just take a look at their chiefs, I think barring one or two chaps, everybody else has been a Punjabi. And even those other two chaps, one was a Muhajir from Adamgarh, the district which I belong, Mirza Aslam Beg. And the second one is Pervez Musarraf, who's from Delhi, who basically a Punjabi only. I mean, he just happened
Right.
that his house was in Delhi. So
Hmm.
therefore, the bulk of their leadership, whether it is DGISI or anyone like that, are actually from Punjab. Now, this kind of a structure will have to be compromised
Yeah.
in a Lebanese model. Then I
Correct.
suppose there would be some kind of a stability, some kind of a checks and balances which will get introduced into the system, and the governance may improve accordingly. But for the timing, Pakistan is going to face turbulent times at least for the next 3 to 4 months.
Interesting. So let's get into the questions. Loads and loads of questions and comments. So let's get into them. Request we'll just roll over as and create a scenario as this questions go in, and let's see what we come out at the end of it. Where we
Yeah,
sail, what shores we sail across to, and it'll be interesting for us to find out. But before that, guys, every one of you, please like this video. It's just a little touch at the bottom of the screen. I'm sure all of you can just stick out half a second that it takes to just touch that. It helps me grow, it helps the channel grow. Today is a big milestone for me. We've completed 1 million views as far as YouTube is concerned. So that's a great, great thing. Thank you so much, all of you guys who've been along with this journey. And of course, we're chugging along at 13,000, some 100 or 120 followers. If you can, and if you do want to help out Dev Talks, my QR code is right above for the UPI, or you can just become a member or send us a super sticker. Thank you so much so far, and let's go. Right. There is a viewpoint from some that that collateral for China's loan, Gilgit will, while others are eyeing
yeah.
atomic assets of Pakistan. Rothschild, your view, please. How can India counter China in Gilgit?
This is one thing which I mentioned right at the beginning itself, that that's the most dangerous situation as far as we are concerned.
Yeah.
Look, nobody's going to. I don't think in the today's scenario, nobody's going to give away its territory. What may happen is it will give away bases and lease away certain assets for a particular number of years, which would be actually amounting to kind of selling only. But there is a cover of lease in that, which may be given to China, and Gilgit Baltistan actually become the prime candidate for 2 3 reasons. One is the CPEC, which they are still hoping like hell that it will succeed, and that enters the area through Gilgit Baltistan. The
Hmm.
second is Xinjiang province itself. Gilgit Baltistan's control would ensure that Xinjiang is not adversely impacted as far as China's internal security is concerned. Now, these two are major issues for Pakistan, and sorry, China, and China has been investing not from now, from right from 50s, 1950s onwards. When they started building the highway 219, since then they have been actually investing along this particular route, Karakoram Pass, etc. The Gilgit Baltistan for us, if they do something like this with a clause, what they have done in Shaksgam also, they've added a clause that as and when the dispute is sorted out between India and Pakistan, a call will be taken then. So if they put these kind of clauses and cede GB or portions of GB to China for a leasing kind of an arrangement or whatever arrangement you want. And there is another option also, collateral in terms of military bases to US also. You see, Pakistan may well be playing a cat and mouse game. On one hand, it is playing the game with US. Second hand, it's playing the game with China to extract as much as possible. So if it lends basis what America has been now clamoring for. I mean, they had almost 12 bases, they have all been withdrawn. Uh, Officially, they've all been withdrawn. So
Yeah, let's put that.
yeah, and they have been making a case for themselves. The CIA director had visited there, visited Pakistan, basically to discuss military bases. So they have these low-hanging fruits in Pakistan's kitty, which they can play around with US and China.
Yeah,
While the military bases of the US may not be that threatening for India, but anything in GB given to China would be a major
big
concern
problem.
for us. Would be a major concern for us, and then we will have to oppose it. And here I keep telling people, and today I posted this comment. You know, well, we have to bide our time because of our economic asymmetry, which is there with China. So therefore, we have to develop and then develop our comprehensive national power. It takes time.
Yeah,
We are the largest importer of defense equipment. We have to change this story. Although our exports have increased to, and the target is now 35 lakh dollars का जो target है government ने दिया है इसको,
yeah,
which is a ambitious plan, and they are moving towards that. But that is going to take time to catch up with China. We need time to build our economic strength and comprehensive national power. So therefore, how do we tackle Gilgit-Baltistan kind of a situation the way it is being pointed out by the audience also, and this has been in my thought process. I said, why can't we at least start projecting our views in the environment? Like if China can project one China policy, knowing fully well that the Americans are very strong. I'm talking not from now. Chinese have been telling about one China policy from very long time, right? When they were no match to the Americans. So why can't we also have a one India policy? And the one India policy should be stated. It should be put into our national security policy. That see, making one statement in Parliament is not good enough. Put it in your national security policy. Put it in writing that India believes in one India policy, which is JNK and Gilgit Baltistan, etc. is all part of us, and POK is all part of us, and it will be taken as and when we wish to do. Like in their priority, Taiwan is ahead of India in resolving of border issues. So the point is, let's at least start displaying our intent very clearly that JNK is ours. Whatever happens, ultimately JNK will be taken by us. Okay, that is the first approach to Gilgit-Baltistan kind of a situation if it starts occurring. And then there are other means available to us. Non-military means are there available to us to also deal with a situation like this. There are international court of justice is there. We can take that angle that they cannot lease it to China. It's a disputed territory. That's the second option. And these have to be done at multiple tracks. It is not that we just only do this and keep waiting for the outcome. We have to
yeah.
look at multiple tracks from which we can deny this kind of an action to Pakistan. And here I'm referring to the alliances also. Look, uh, if we are close with Russia, we can use the Russian influence not to do this kind of an action. If we are now getting closer to the US, why not? Kautilya has said that if need be, take the help of your alliance in the time of need. I won't say they are alliance, but they are strategic partners. They have to,
Partners,
if,
yeah.
if yeah, if they have to pitch in for you, a voice makes a difference, right? People may say, what is the voice? No, voice is the very important part of information warfare. On the opposing side does get a caution. A military exercise close to the Chinese border with by India and US got their tentacles raised. Xi Jinping had to visit the forward areas and say that we have to be prepared for war
And ask
to win.
how if you're getting
To,
vegetables or not.
yes. So my point is there are methods and means to deal with Gilgit-Baltistan situation, and if there is no other option left, we always have the military option. We should not rule it out of the from the table. It's very
Mhm.
much there. You see, the advantage we have is we are the most highly experienced operational army going around in the region. The Chinese armed forces have lost their operational experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
After Vietnam, they have not fought a single war. The terrain which is there, favor terrain is mountainous and it favors the defender. It favors people who have operated in this. The Chinese have just started deploying themselves in these areas. Otherwise, they had camps, and their army used to be bulk. Army used to be behind,
yeah.
sitting in their shelters and bases in the rear areas. So we have a tremendous advantage, especially in the mountains. These are going to be small wars. These are going to be wars by small teams, and we hold an advantage here. So we should not be unduly cowed down by this. Chinese are not 10 feet tall. Let me put
Mm.
it this way.
And
They're
our
not,
counters to China have been really effective in all directions right now,
and
military, civilian,
and
economic,
and,
everything.
and what we have shown to them in Galwan or Doklam, I think they know our potential, and therefore they will also hesitate before doing any stupid harakiri like
Yes.
this. But it's there on the card. We should be careful of it, and we should be prepared for it.
Extremism, every bit of Pakistan is a headache for the world, even balkanized.
Absolutely, there is no denial. I fully agree with him. Wherever extremism has taken place, the end losers are people. Let me also tell, in this whole extremist ideology, whether it is of any type, extremism can be. You see, if we should define extremism or liberalism by the scale of not communism or capitalism. We should identify extremism by a scale. You could be an extremist communist also and a liberal communist also. You could be an extremist right winger also and a liberal right winger also. You could be extreme centrist also, that you are not ready to budge right or left. So extremism of any sort, किसी भी चीज की अति खराब होती है.
Hmm.
ज्यादा घी खा लोगे तो भी खराब होगा, नहीं खाओगे तो भी खराब होगा. So you have to maintain a balance of everything, and I agree. Uh, Extremist approach to any problem will end us in shit.
Yugoslavia broke up because there were centuries old frozen conflicts and they were frozen under the communists, had come out when communist state fell. This is not the case with Pakistan. I kind of disagree to some extent. Actually, there's a lot of truth to this, but my opinion,
You see, if you even take the case of Pakistan, British India was extending up to the borders of Afghanistan, right? Uh, and they were British wars were always being fought there between between Indians and the Afghanistanis. So there was this kind of a that region was unstable throughout the
all the
history
time.
of mankind that has been unstable. In fact, there was one military officer who was interacting with me in his lighter moments over a drink or two. He happened to say that India should thank us that the problems of the British India have been taken by Pakistan, and we have now become your buffer state. These were
Actually,
his words.
indeed,
These were his words, and I kind of looked at that particular statement with a lot of deliberation, and I thought, well, he may have some truth in that particular point.
that's true, sir.
and
I
it,
think so. Hmm.
and it is coming true now. And when he made this statement, the situation on the Western Front was not so bad. Let me tell you, it was just about okay. The Russians were there, and there was this little bit of. I'm talking when I was a major, So there was a little bit of a commotion which used to keep happening, but not of the kind what is happening today with TTP, etc. And now looking back at that statement and looking back at the vision of that particular officer, I feel he was right. Look at what is happening in Pakistan today on the Western Front. Balochistan is not in their control. Pashtunistan is not in their control. Waziristan has become almost camps of either side. The ISKP has camps this side and TTP has camps in Afghanistan.
That's it.
They are exchanging camps. So there is a natural tendency, I believe, the ISKP is being supported by the ISI, and the TTP is being supported by Afghan Taliban. So this is the kind of mix, and this is the kind of security scenario which is there on the western front of Pakistan.
True, sir.
So Pakistan will have to find the Pakistan also has been having its trouble. Balochistan has always been a frozen conflict.
Historically, yes, sir.
Historically, Balochistan has been a frozen conflict. It just needs that little extra trigger to blow out of proportion. I was reading somewhere that the current leadership of Balochistan is not of the olden type, which was satisfied with a low level insurgency action. They are now into serious terror acts, and that has been proved a number of times by the nature of attacks which they have done. And
Yeah.
with the
That
weapons now
lady
being,
who,
yeah, and with the weapons now being changing hands, I'm talking of the US weapons which were left behind in Afghanistan, changing hands from one group to the other group. They are being sold around in that part of the world. Their levels of attack are going to only increase, they're not going to reduce.
absolutely.
They're going to only reduce. So it's not really it's not really different. It is also having its own set of conflicts, and you can never overlook the Hindu-Muslim conflicts which have always been taking place in this part of the region, or Shia-Sunni conflicts which have been taking place world over, not only in Pakistan. Shia-Sunni conflicts have been taking place world over, and which is there even in Pakistan. So therefore, the conflicts are there in Pakistan also.
True, sir. Which brings me to this interesting question, which says, what are the individual regions' demographic profiles that makes a breeding ground for separating from each other religions,
From the other
from
regions.
other religions?
He's not talking of religion. He's not talking of religion, and that is exactly my point. Last time also I had told that religion somehow does not seem to be the factor upon which they are going to break. If they are going to break, they're going to break based on their ethnic and regional affiliations, and these are clearly divided. Sindh is typically a different kind of set of people, but different culture. Punjabis have a totally different culture,
Yeah,
and so do the Pashtuns have a different culture. And all these communities have an overflow into India or Iran or Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. So it's not a localized thing for them. It's going to be regional.
It's going to be regional, and why we say it is not a very happy situation for India or Iran is that the connectivities which are there between India and Pakistan, or between Pakistan and Iran, or Pakistan and Afghanistan, will have its impact.
Yeah, yeah. That is
If you
there.
look at, if you look at the videos of statements of some of our people who are here, they say that it was their problem. They went leaving India. India में तो बहुत सुकून है. A Muslim leader was saying that इंडिया में तो बहुत सुकून है. अगर वो छोड़ के गए तो उनकी गलती है. हाँ, अगर वो आना चाहते हैं तो आ जाएं. तरीके से आना चाहें तो आ जाएं. So this तरीके से आना चाहे तो आ जाएं will happen. And what will we do in that case? Because for every 10 good guys, there would be three or four radicals who will be coming in.
So
How do we
Pakistan, sir, I
handle?
would say seven radicals and three good guys.
I'm being a little moderate and a little more diplomatic about it. But what I'm saying is that even if you take the minimum scenario of about 30 to 40%, so for every thousand, there will be 300 is a large number, and we somehow keep talking about there are only 200 militants left in area
Yeah.
A or B. Here you will talk of 300, 400 coming
Hundreds
in.
and thousands of people, sir.
Yeah, so there is this danger for us. We have to be making a foolproof arrangement for people to get inside. It cannot be. It has to be followed through thorough security checkup, thorough intelligence checkup. Then only till then they should be retained in camps, screened properly, like what they did in Europe when these people were moving as refugees from Ukraine. A similar kind of an arrangement has to be done there also. I mean, for us also, these are the precautionary measures. I would not at this stage talk about war, etc. See, with Pakistan, that would be something that would not be a reason for us to go to war.
So
A reason for us to go to war would be that if Pakistan is not doing anything for its people, like what they did in Bangladesh, that is the only condition when we would be forced to show our military hands, right? Till the time the situation remains in the humanitarian zone, we should behave uh, from a humanitarian point of view.
I mean, I must say at this point of time, a lot of people might just disagree with this thing, but
I mean, I'm being a little more.
anybody, I mean, I personally don't have an opinion, sir. Let me be very clear. I mean, I personally want the Pakistanis to remain where they are, not come towards here. But yeah, if they do come towards here, which is quite a possibility, if
You
if
see,
things go bad,
if we have a plan, if we have a plan to assimilate a region like this with its current problems, we should go for it. But we don't have a plan to assimilate this region with the current problems. Can we sort out their problems? Can we take on so much of billions of dollars of loans and to handle?
that is what is there in the public knowledge.
And and the kind of drug trade which is going around in that part of the region? Our Punjab is facing such a severe issue because of that, because of these people. So if you have a plan to sort them out, I mean, sort these problems out, by all means, try and go ahead and do it. It's not only military. Look, if anything happens somewhere, something like a merger or anything, it will come with its own set of huge problems.
Massive.
Our 3 trillion economy will have to bear that out. We may get reduced to about 1.5 to 2 trillion economy. We will have to feed 400 million people, and assets are a problem there. Barring the nuclear asset, what else can they give us? See the number of terror groups which are moving around there. We have our hands full in JNK. We have our hands full in the red area, Lal Salam area. हमारी जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट की जो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं वो हैं ही हैं, हालांकि काफ़ी कम हो चुकी हैं, बट इन सब जगहों पे जो हमारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उन्हीं को हमको संभालने में इतना टाइम लग रहा है, आप देख रहे हैं। अगर ये सारी प्रॉब्लम हमारे ऊपर आ जाएंगी, आपने देखा था अमेरिका का क्या हाल हुआ था अफगानिस्तान में, 3 4 टेरर। और ऐसे में आपने देखा होगा, यू विल फाइंड इन अ सिचुएशन लाइक दिस, देयर इज अ ग्लोबल मोबिलाइजेशन व्हिच टेक्स प्लेस। People start pouring in from all over the world and start fighting, because we will be seen as an occupational force. My policy would be that if we have to do any military action, go, hit, and then teach them a lesson and come back.
Get back.
Get back. Don't do a Vietnam, don't do an Afghanistan, don't do a Iraq, don't do a Syria. You will remain entangled in that region.
True, sir.
And the drain will be on your exchequer, on your exchequer. These countries have the economy of 21 trillion, 22 trillion. They can still afford, even they are suffering as of now. They are looking for money to pay back their interest. I'm talking to the US. He has to go to the Senate to get it approved, and Senate is divided. Oh, sorry, the Congress is divided. So, if you are having a plan to assimilate all these people, if you are sure that we can manage them, and here you will require the political will, you will require the economic infrastructure, economic structures of our country to say to us, yes, we can do it. You will require the diplomatic brigades to ensure that yes, we will be able to swing the international opinion in our favor for such an action, go ahead and do it. There are good methods to achieve your aim. What did Sun Tzu said? The art of generalship lies in achieving your aim without fighting.
Indeed, sir.
So I'm referring to the tools which we can use to do these things
Do you think that
without
China
saying.
Pakistan? Do you think that the China Pakistan nexus will continue?
Of course, more than Pakistan now it is China which is worried. You see, the tables have reversed. Pakistan has now declared itself. Its ministers are telling that we are bankrupt. So what does a bankrupt do in India? Either he runs to a different country or he goes to the jail. Most of your bankrupt guys who are in the country are in jail, especially of the real estate. Whether you take Ansals, whether you take any of these big builders who are today now in jails. Whereas the who are the losers? The people who have invested money and the government, which would have given them loans. So China comes into that category of having given them loans. Okay, they will take a collateral, but if that collateral gives them some commercial benefits, yes. If it only gives them strategic benefit, they can achieve strategic benefit from other means also. And those strategic assets have to be protected also. Who will guarantee the protection? Can the Chinese trust the Pakistani army totally now? There are a number of questions which the Chinese are worried now, and it is good for us.
Absolutely.
More your enemies keep worrying about their security, the lesser burden on you to, but that should not make you complacent. You should continue to keep watching the situation and keep changing keep preparing for the worst case scenario. And I
So,
said the worst case scenario in this case has been what we just discussed.
so matter of fact, there's one comment which I read. It says that refugee crisis. Remember, Pakistan is a nation. Let me just say this: we are doing scenario building. I think Swaroop, you've
Yeah,
written this. We are doing scenario building. So we're not saying this is going to happen, that is going to happen. Each scenario has its own nuances, and we are
correct.
trying to see what those nuances will be. So take it in that sense when we are trying to say that this might happen. If this does happen, what should we do? Because anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's on.
And these scenarios are, very, very less likely. Like I said in the beginning, these are hedging scenarios on the periphery scenarios. I
So
told you the most likely scenario is rumbling along. They will keep tugging along like this in the current situation, unless they get a economic uh, miracle. They find oil wells in Pakistan. That's the only thing which looks to me, which might resurrect them. What happened in the Middle East or few years back.
so
So if a thing like that happens to Pakistan, it will be able to recover. Otherwise, Pakistan is in shit, economic shit.
So there are two questions of similar kind. I'll take both of them. On UPSC study channel, I heard the Pakistanis are talking to Rothschilds for a bailout, and Rothschild the company is also in the picture. What will they bring to the table for Pakistan, and how much time from now they can survive? The last, how much time from now they can survive is something it's impossible to judge.
You see, I mean, we can't guess, hazard any guess, so we should go by patterns. How much has the IMF given them? How much is the Chinese now have given them? And how much is already an accumulated loan? My view is they'll give you an year of a rollover, I suppose. A focused aid in kind for a project through World Bank. I mean, they would try to impress upon the West to give them such kind of aids, and a little bit of cover to survive for the next 4 5 months, so that they are able to get their economy in order. You have seen the set of orders which they have passed 15% pay cuts for all cabinet ministers. Number of ministers will be reduced. Now these are the no funds, secret service funds, etc. Intelligence fund, etc. ISI activities will be curbed by this. These have been properly articulated by powers that be. IMF is the front. No money being given to secret service fund wouldn't have come from Pakistani government unless they have been actually told. He said, no, with a heavy heart, with a very heavy heart, we had to accept these conditions. These are those heavy heart. And immediately followed by Pakistani chief's statement that, we are running short of funds, we require more funds. So once these things are done at the top level, the others will be forced to uh, do it at the lower level.
True.
Ultimately, what will happen is more number of unemployment will increase quite drastically. Inflation may further go up, and people may be more harassed. But I think they're going to counter this by anti-India narrative being done. So here we should be careful of any stupid misadventure
Thanks.
misadventure which they might do in India, and for that our ISR has to be of very high order, especially now, because from chaos comes problem. Every chaos gives you an opportunity. So Pakistanis are known to seize opportunities.
Absolutely. Rothschilds is interesting development that these guys are Jews and they're going into Pakistan. I don't know. I wonder what they're going to buy. Probably the nuclear weapons. I don't know. I mean,
Uh, maybe they are the front. Maybe they are the front. Maybe they are pitching for a control over these
assets.
assets, or a dual control over these assets, or a surveillance over these assets.
Rothschilds, as it is, own about 6 military bases, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
around the world.
So it could be related to getting hold of the control over this, because now I think they should be worrying. The West should be worrying, because if Pakistan remains in this fluid situation, the assets are something which would be eyed by a lot of other Islamic countries.
Mm.
None of the Islamic countries actually today possess nuclear weapons, other than Iran, which is also, is something like uh, yes or no question. It's not fully established whether they have or whether they don't have it. So it's only Pakistan which is having this, and that's the leverage which these guys have been utilizing.
So,
So Rothschild's action may be viewed from that perspective. How much will they bring to the Pakistanis on the table? My guess, well, like I said, it has to be based on past patterns. They won't make a windfall there. Who is the beggar here? Who is the bigger beggar here? Let's put it this way.
it
So,
is, yeah, I
so I
mean,
would like to tell the audience that I am also as much groping in the dark as you people are. My sense says that Pakistan will not break. My sense says that Pakistan will continue to chug along like this. My sense says that this is an opportunity which Pakistan may utilize to develop an anti-India narrative for making their people to stay together, because that is one thread which gets the entire Pakistan on one platform.
mm,
So these are the three four things which we should be worried about. And if that be the case, the last one is more difficult for us to handle, in the sense if they do some kind of a misadventure like the Mumbai or Pathankot or something totally different out of the world. uh, Balloon is one idea. If it had happened over India with a whole load of explosives, I mean, most of the people would have thought it's a met air balloon or met data. So something innocent may be taking place, which may end up as a very destructive. thing over us. So these are the issues I think which we need to be careful of and guard against.
So
Yes, and I will not talk about what offensive action we can take. What is our methodology of handling Pakistan? Because those are things which can be best discussed at the government level and within their it is within their power. It is it's part of their charter of duties. I would not like to comment there. Okay, definitely defensively we have to be more prepared, and offensively there are methods and means by which we should keep the problems at bay from us.
hi Adi and Jansar. Hypothetically speaking, if Bharat was to launch a military attack to capture AJK or POK as per your perception, and Indian Army was to make rapid progress, would Pakistan use nukes?
Well, this is a very old question and very commonly discussed question by everyone who is following India and Pakistan. We call these as red lines. You know how much of a penetration would Pakistan expect before it does the before it takes the nuclear option?
That is
How much
their
of
nuclear doctrine at the end of it, sir.
no? There are two three methods of dealing with this question. One is in the sense of space. Okay. Second is that the space may not be very deep, but it is so critical to Pakistan that it may do it. Like for example, Lahore, it's hardly any distance from Indian border. But if Lahore is threatened, it's a major issue for Pakistan. You getting my point? So it is in terms of sensitivities. It is also in terms of depth, as the Rizwan is trying to highlight. It would also be in terms of irrationality at times, given that there are no other options available, given the fact that you are staring defeat in your face. A leader may undertake this kind of an action. Okay, so two three things. So this is a very very common question, and I think situation will be kept to such levels where the nuclear option is not brought on the table. And for this, I will tell you that no nuclear power has ever gone to war, full-fledged war with each other. After 1947-48, the nearest they came to a nuclear war was Cuban crisis, in which USSR and US were involved. Kennedy and Khrushchev, these were the two leaders who were involved, and it was the nearest they came to some kind of. Although both were bluffing, they were only showing positions, changing their positions based on the fact that they are coming nearer to a nuclear confrontation. So therefore, the nuclear angle, to my mind, if both are rational players, is least likely. Even if there is a war which takes place, like what happened in Kargil, there would be some kind of a detent, which will some kind of a deterrence which will kick in at some stage. The ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, you can see that number of threats have come from Russia of nuclear option also being on the card for any response should the NATO intervene into the into the war. And so therefore you find that NATO is doing everything indirectly. There has been no direct intervention by NATO. That's the reason why they are not giving them the F-16s also. If you see, the aircrafts are not being given by them. All nuclear asset carrying platforms are not being given to them. They are being given more of defensive weapon platforms like air defense systems, etc. So there will be a control over the nuclear issue. That's my take.
Army takeover scenario is over in Pakistan. I don't think in this critical juncture, army takeover might be suicide.
Look, army may not take over. Uh, you may be right that and I have always been telling that the army has learned its lessons the harder way. They have gone for martial law a number of times in the past, and every time they have come out a cripple out of these martial laws. So therefore, possibly they have taken this easier route of rule by proxy, where there is a civilian facade in front, and they call the shots from the back. But if the civilian facade which they have created crumbles, then what is the option?
Hmm.
Then what is the option? So, uh, again, I would like to quote a statement of a major of 2008. This was a statement in 2008 given in a normal group discussion which was happening in the US, where when people said that, why don't you all promote democracy, a sound, stable democracy in Pakistan? His statement was, he's a major, senior major. His statement was that Pakistan as a country is not ready for democracy. So, so their army has become so politicized that even a major can talk of such a statement. So you can imagine what is happening around in the Pakistani army officers cadre. Possibly, I may be wrong. This is a statement by one officer, so it may be a very one-off kind of a statement, but it somewhere conveys the overall environment which is possibly going around in that particular country. So politicization of the army is one of the worst things to happen to a nation, and in a situation like this, the army would have to intervene. That is the guarantor of their national security as far as the people are concerned. I wish you had played that YouTube video for 5 minutes. You would have seen that the way they talk about how their country is being held together, and they even still consider that their country is better managed. On what basis, I don't know. बोला खाने की बात तो अलग से है, जज्बा है हमारे में जज्बा है भारत से अच्छा करने में. तो किसी ने बोला कि आप जज्बे से खाएंगे क्या? बोला खाने की बात अलग करो. Imagine they have religious leaders who talk of एक हाथ में कुरान और एक हाथ में atom bomb in a situation in the country where you're getting everything above 200 as far as your basic needs are concerned. Where are we heading in Pakistan?
Yeah.
So somewhere they're trying to downplay their economic problems.
So
Whatever is coming out of
let's,
Pakistan economically, it's for the international audience to give them more aid, more money.
that those drama queens, that's all I call them.
Internally they are keeping their population together with these kind of anti-India narratives
It's
and
it's basically a drama. I mean,
yeah,
let's start running through a little this thing, so we'll take lots more. So we've just crossed about an hour worth of a show.
yeah. So I
So
think
we'll start just going through a lot more, little bit faster, sir. Strong Pakistan bad for India, collapse Pakistan bad for India. Goldilocks point: India has a Pakistan that's neither, somewhere in between, neither strong nor collapse on perpetual life support.
absolutely, that's what I've been telling. That let Pakistan remain engaged in its problems. Let it let it start fighting internally. Let it do a firefight for survival on monthly basis, if not on a daily basis. Their attention has to be away from our borders, and we need to ensure that we
Hands
take
off.
maximum advantage of this internally to make ourselves strong, to make our system strong, our governance strong, and we become so much more powerful that the other guy will not even have a audacity to look at you.
True.
Deterrence also comes from your comprehensive national power, and I'm not talking of only soft power now. Now India is a superpower in pharmacy. India superpower. When I said superpower, it's actually a superpower. 70% of the pharmacy market is controlled by India of the world. Period. We are the highest exporters to America as far as pharmacy is concerned. In Africa, We are matching the investment with China now. 75 billion to 70 billion. In Afghanistan, if the Chinese are making a foray, India is also now trying to enter. India is now capable of doing trade in currencies other than dollars, be it with Russia or be it with any of the BRICS countries, etc. There are talks going around that the Saudi oil will now be traded in the currency of the country. If that happens, the dollar goes fat. People will start dumping their dollars. So therefore, खुद ही को कर बुलंद इतना कि खुदा बंदे से पूछे बता बता तेरी रजा क्या है. That's the
We
approach as far that is the approach as far as India should take. Rest will
uh,
fall on feet.
we forget most of the videos from on YouTube is only from Punjab. Do you think the situation is the same in the other areas?
Situation is, I suppose, worse. Imagine living in the areas of Peshawar, etc., where there are attacks almost on a weekly or a monthly basis, and the attacks are quite severe. If the oil is costly at around 250, 60, 70 in the heartland of Pakistan, what will it be at the periphery next to a country which is Afghanistan, which itself is now looking for survival? The only thing which is going great guns for Afghanistan is that it has increased its poppy cultivation by almost 38% from what it was in 2019. They're not going to eat drugs here.
Mhm.
So the situation is bad. But like I said, the radicalism which is there in these parts of the world is also very high. And I made this statement earlier also. Apocalypse for them is a liberation. नया संसार बनेगा, नई दुनिया बनेगी, and we'll be the kings of that world. The
That's
level
true.
of radicalization is very high. Refugees of Afghanistan still remain in Pakistan, in that part of the world of Pakistan. Drug trade is taking place continuously. So situation is bad everywhere.
Yeah. So what will happen to both the Chaudhurys, the USA and China, once if Pakistan falls
I,
out?
I like the word Chaudhary. Yes. If look, as far as US is concerned, for US, Pakistan is a very very small problem, far away from its source. If you have to, if US has to prioritize its problems today, it is looking at Ukraine. It is looking at uh, when I say Ukraine, it is looking at Russia, Ukraine. It is looking at China, Taiwan. It's looking at Quad. It's looking at the West Asian areas of conflict, which includes the uh, the Saudi Arabian problem of Houthi rebels. So these are the areas which are on high on its priority. Right, Israel remains its major concern, and there are some reports that there are problems brewing up. Third Intifada is probably brewing up in I was just reading today in the yellow Palestine. So if that happens, that will be another front which will get created. So US Pakistan thing for it is a very lower end problem. For China, Pakistan is a major problem. So China will be more concerned, and that is the reason why they are going into Afghanistan. Of course, economically, they have not done any military interference, and I don't think Chinese will do. Chinese are more calculating, they have seen the condition of US and USSR and Russia uh, for getting involved in a other country's war for a long prolonged period. So
So,
whatever China will do, it will do, I think, as a show of force, as some kind of an economic give and take.
so Jan Dushyant, your views about India making a stand clear about One India policy is very forward looking, and I feel that we should do it. Just a
Ab-
comment.
ab- Absolutely. This is something which I thought over it today. I said, everybody talks about one China policy, and this China had stated when it was the one of the poorest countries. Incidentally, in 1992, the economies of both the countries, India and Pakistan, India and China, were same. Period. Same. Absolutely. But because it is under a totalitarian kind of a government, with single party rule, it grew with leaps and bounds, and India continued to bubble along. We are at 3, they are at officially they are at 18, 19 trillion.
So, do Baloch or Sindhis or Pashtuns have matured and qualified political leaderships to be able to manage their countries?
Yes, yes. Uh, Most of these regions have their governments in exile, mostly located in Canada. I have had interaction with at least Prime Minister in exile of Balochistan on a channel. She's a lady. Whether they are competent or not, look, I can't be a I can't at this stage judge them. But the fact that they have been recognized by their community abroad as their leader indicates that they have some capability of keeping their people together, projecting the viewpoint of their people across the world. This person had visited India last year, early last year, and she had gone around spreading the word about Balochistan in India. So she is working towards that. Similarly, for the other regions also, there are governments in exile. Okay, so they have the structures. They will have to be transported here once the security situation improves. Like what happened in Iran, Khomeini was outside the country. It was only when the revolution succeeded that or about to succeed, that Khomeini joined the movement within the country.
True, sir.
This is the model which is followed. Leadership is always preserved. If you make your leadership die as the way TTP and the Afghan Taliban did, they will run short of leaders there. You remember MacArthur escaped. He was about to be arrested. He escaped, and the statement which he gave was, "I'll come back and fight again and defeat them." And he did exactly that
Paleu,
because
Battle of Paleu.
yeah, he has to be the galvanizer. He has to be the central force around which people will have to coalesce and achieve their aims.
So,
So they have I won't put my money on the quality, but they do have leaders who are uh, projecting their case abroad. And internally too, the leadership has changed. It's more youthful leadership, and it is quite volatile.
dear Jan Dushyant, Sri Lanka disintegrated during economic and political conditions, but unscientific temperament and sheltering terrorism also make conditions worse for Pakistan. Professor Deepak Verma. Sri Lanka didn't disintegrate. Sri
Uh,
Lanka
uh,
defaulted.
Professor Verma, I first of all welcome to the discussion. Very nice to hear you after a long time, and it is a very searching question, except for the minor correction which I think Adi has already made. Sri Lanka didn't disintegrate. Sri Lanka
Defaulted,
fell
yeah.
apart. Sri Lanka fell apart economically, right? So the governance disintegrated. Let me put it this way: the government of the day disintegrated. People ran away from the country, but the country as such remained intact. Two, three reasons for that. One, there was no element of terrorism involved in that. There was no element of religious fight involved in that. The unrest
Most
was
importantly.
entirely on economic and political corruption which was taking place in the country, where people's money was being diverted for personal use. So there was this anger against the head of the state. It was anger against the central government of Sri Lanka. And
The establishment, as they call it.
yeah, then that fell apart. Absolutely, it just fell like a pack of cards. Yes, the outcome was that their central building structures, etc., got destroyed. That's fine. That's part of the rage of the public. In the case of Pakistan, it's economics, but it gets diverted into two, three channels. There is a religious channel which diverts people into that direction. There is a economic channel which is working independently, and there are regional aspirations. So there are Baluchis who are not really interested in whatever they want. They produce their local khana and they eat and they eat and they're happy about it. So there is no convergence of problems which is common to every public in Pakistan. Unless everyone gets impacted equally by a pain which crosses the threshold of anti-India narrative, people will not come to the streets. That pain has to be beyond that anti-India narrative. And here comes the role of radicalization. Here comes the role of diverting people's mind to different areas. And it is not only the government which is doing it. There are various thekedars in Pakistan, Mullah Brigade, Military Brigade, and the Political Brigade. All three brigades are in different constituencies of them.
Yeah,
Of theirs.
it's quite a game, sir. We didn't wish for Pakistan to break up in 71 as well, but Pakistan created its own circumstances. Likewise, Pakistan's own circumstances will create breakup situation again, not our wish for or against it.
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm saying. Let it chug along like this. It'll ultimately fall or it'll come out of it. Only two things can happen. Either it'll continue to chug along or it'll stabilize itself and go ahead. But the added danger of West Pakistan vis-a-vis East and West is, see, East and West were a very, very unnatural countries, very unnatural, with a huge India separating the two of them. There was no connect whatsoever. The culture of Bengal was totally different from the culture of West Pakistan. So the breakup, we just had to do a very, very minor action to ensure that Pakistan broke up. Here it is not the same. Here they are contiguous to each other. They have relations across. People have, because of modern day technologies, people have interconnectivity taking place. People have served in West Pakistan, Western borders. People have served on Eastern borders. People from the West have served on the Indian borders. So there are this huge movement of people which is taking place of the common public. I'm not talking of the radical elements. So there is a connectivity which is going on within the country, within Pakistan. There are certain symbols for them also, like cricket is a symbol which connects them. Religion is one symbol which connects them. So there are these symbols of connectivity, symbols of nationalism, which keep the country held together. The state may be failing.
Indeed, I mean, we as a nation, the division between a failed state and a failed nation. I
Yeah.
think we had
So the
this
other,
discussion.
as a nation, they are still holding intact.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But as a state, they are in trouble. They are in trouble.
नैया डूब चुकी है. Take last two more questions, sir.
Okay.
I think we are blowing this Gilgit-Baltistan under China out of proportion. Just look at how Chinese ran away from Balochistan. I don't see that they would stand and face the same situation in Gilgit-Baltistan. Even the Chinese would be scared.
Uh,
Possible.
for us, it's very good. Like I told you, Chinese is not 10 feet tall. I only said that it's a possibility. It's a possibility. Okay, it gives them an access to Afghanistan to a different route. It
And
is
they're
a
looking for
possibility.
that right now.
Yeah, it's a possibility. We are not saying that this is going to happen. Okay,
Hmm.
so if you cater for the worst, rest everything is before. I mean, less than that, no.
Oh yeah, na, sir. This is basically that's what guys, as I mentioned, this is what we're talking about is scenario building and trying to see how
And
each
this is
scenario will play out. You know.
and and right in the beginning, I said this is the least likely scenario
Yeah.
which we are talking about. I told right in the beginning, this is the least likely. Most likely is Pakistan chugging along the course the way it is going on. In
Actually,
between is
some
the
of the comments, some of the hundreds of comments that have come, sir, have mentioned this that US will not let it break up, and
yeah.
Arabic states will not let it break up, and this and that, which I actually tend to agree with because there's a lot of strategic value still left in Pakistan with
If
regards
you
to
remember,
Afghanistan, with regards to pulling the leg of China, and
if you remember right in the beginning, I said I do not see Pakistan breaking up anytime soon.
uh,
However, people are talking of Balkanization, people are talking of Lebanonization. Let's discuss them, okay, and see what worst could happen to us in case if something like that happens. That was the right at the beginning premise, and
yeah.
it also throws open some new ideas to people to see what all is there on the card when negotiations take place. Why are the US guys visiting here only for stabilizing Pakistan or extracting something from them
IAEA.
or controlling China? And why are the Chinese interested in it? To reduce the influence of the US in
Yeah.
Pakistan? Because if Pakistan becomes Americanized, the Americans are on the doors of China. It has Russia on the north and the west, but this is an entry which is available.
सर आपने ना एंड में ऐसी गूगली फेंकी है ना सबकी नींद उड़ गई होगी यार ये थी
So that's what I'm saying. Ki, it's a game which is the two Chaudhurys are playing
See,
with Pakistan in the
bang in the
center.
middle. Yeah.
Yes,
Pakistan is the volleyball which is gonna get bounced around the place if this scenario actually opens out.
and that is the reason why people say that it will not break up.
They'll both keep it together.
Yeah.
At least something. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a snarky comment at the end of it. Is Satta market taking bets on the breakup of Pakistan?
Satyam, Satyam, I think is also enjoying the discussion. Good, Satyam. The SETA market has still not caught on to the Pakistan breakup. I think that they're still floating around in the sports arena only. But yes, it will start going to the SETA Badar also if situation becomes even bad here. Let me tell you this.
See,
And
sir.
in any case, Satta market is on a serious note. Satta market is on as far as the rates of Pakistani rupee are concerned, as far as the rates of various food products are concerned. ये तो सट्टा में रोज ही हो रहा है.
Hmm. Hmm.
गल्ले का दाम क्या है आज? Even गेहूं का दाम गेहूं is also traded in trade
Yeah.
market. So ये तो चल रहा है. This is already
They've
going on.
reverted to even barter trades and stuff like that.
Yeah, Satta market is going on as far as Pakistan. Only thing is, the word Pakistan breakup hasn't come. Otherwise, all the important parameters of Pakistan are being traded in the Satta Bazar, official and unofficial.
Sir, I want to wrap up what you just brought out. I think, man, I mean, I must compliment you. Brought out three different, very, very different scenarios, and you've, let's say, war game them, and we've brought out the issues that can happen. And of course, I think most of us would agree that Pakistan should be an inward-looking Pakistan, somewhat problematic and stuff like that. So, and we need to be hands off. We don't need to get our hands dirty in this entire game because this thing can become quite dangerous for us at this moment.
Yeah.
Secondly, the last end में जो आपने एक googly फेंकी है with regards to you know the I would say the great power competition or the great game of Pakistan. So Pakistan
Yeah.
was involved in the great game of Afghanistan.
Shifting
Would
from
this
Afghanistan to Pakistan now.
Yeah, so this is something, guys. I'm going to catch General Sir next time, and I'm going to try and war game this with him with regards to what is the future of Pakistan as a volleyball between USA and China. Because
Yes.
if that is a game which is going to evolve around the time, because that is something that we are seeing. So today, me and General Sir actually spoke for a long time in the afternoon, and we're trying to understand it kya ho raha hai. We promised that we will not talk about this today because we need to still build it up. But I promise you, next week I'm going to get General Sir to talk about this particular game because it's something that we need to understand if there is a larger game in play and if there is a great game of Pakistan, as I said, out in the open. Sir, till that time, thank you so much. This has been such an educative episode. I think everybody's there are so many questions, so many comments, so many suggestions and stuff like that.
I
People
saw
have,
that.
yeah, there's just so many of them, which is really really nice. I really appreciate all you guys. Before I sign off, as usual, please do like this video. Let me just check how many likes are there so that I can, guys, come on. There are almost 200 people watching right now. There were more than 220 to 30 people. Why got 121 likes? I think a lot more can be brought into this particular thing. So before I sign off, guys, every one of you, just touch that like button. It really helps the YouTube algorithm to actually showcase this video to a larger audience. We also get a lot of people from across the border, very respectful comments, I must say. I don't have the whole galibazi happening in my channel. Hota hai wo bhi, but ज़्यादातर I've seen the comments have been very respectful, and I appreciate them, the Pakistanis, being involved in the conversation. If we are able to actually learn something about their country that we did not know, I'm glad and open and willing to that. But all of you guys, please like the video, subscribe if you've not subscribed to the channel. We're approaching the weekend, so two shows a day. I've been putting out these little 3 5 minute shows. Watch them out. It's not going to take much time. If you can, do help out the Dev Talks effort with the UPI just above my head right here. Become a member or send us a super sticker. Till tomorrow night, same time. General sir, thank you so much for taking out the
Thanks.
time, sir. And this scenario building has been brilliant, and I'm going to get you back for the bigger scenario building of the great game of Pakistan. Till then, sir, Jai Hind,
Thanks, yeah. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Jai Bharat, sir.